everyone. Happy Friday. I hope you all are doing well. What is up? What is going on? My chair. What is going on with my chair, actually? I need to organize this whole situation. There we go. Too much blanket. Which I secretly use as a booster seat because why wouldn't I? Oh my gosh. Okay. I feel so much more comfortable. All right. Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. My name is Evie. We are here on my channel doing our usual Friday night Q&A live stream. Hope you all are doing well. It is Friday the 13th. It is going to be Valentine's Day tomorrow. How often is it that Friday the 13th is the day immediately before Valentine's Day? Like, how often does that actually work out? I don't know. Hello from Dio Winterfire. Ooh, how is it? I have wanted to go to Dio Winterfire, but I only have about one East Coast trip in me per year. I just cannot be on a plane that often. It is too much for me. But I've heard good things. And of course I go to Dark Odyssey Surrender here on the West Coast. So I hope it's going well. I saw the lineup. It looked like it was going to be a fun time. So before I get too far into it, I'm going to post that we are live over on Twitter, and I will do our little usual intro spiel here for some new people, because I know recent both my tweets and recent videos have been like breaking containment from my typical audience, and so I don't know if there might be like, is anyone in the chat now who's like, this is the first time I've ever been to a live stream before. I have never, like, not, well, my live streams. You've probably seen other live streams before, but been to one of my live streams. It's about once every 6 years, but it varies. Oh, that's like way more frequently than I thought it would be. February is like a weird month. I'm very for that, though. Okay, all right. Posting on Twitter that we're live. Join me as we talk about Valentine. I wish I had like a little GIF or something I could share on Twitter of like my dog to go with like live stream announcements, but I don't. So I just gotta post what I got. All right, that's gonna be good on that. So let us take a look here. How's it hanging? Busy but good. It's me. It's my first live stream. Heck yeah, welcome. Glad you could make it. It's going great so far. The Winterfire / East Coast peeps would love to have you out here sometime. Hoping hop off to do some debauchery. Yeah, I'd love to come. I taught at Dark Odyssey Surrender this last year, so knock on wood, maybe Winterfire 2027. It could happen. Manifestation, visualizing. I'd love to check it out sometime. I went to my first rope event recently. They meet once a month, and I'm excited to go to my next one. Yeah, that does sound fun, and I'm glad that you went. And thank you so much, Sean, for the live stream gift. So that reminds me, I'm going to do my little spiel. So, hi, my name's Evie Lupine, and here on Fridays on my channel, we do a little interactive BDSM Q&A where we talk about all things kink, BDSM, pop culture stuff, LGBT issues, polyamory, dating, relationships, and so on and such like. We do sometimes talk about other things. However, I do not, generally speaking, give any sort of medical or mental health advice. I'm not a doctor. I cannot tell you if you should go to the emergency room or if something is infected or if something is dangerous. I don't know. Talk to a medical provider. That's what I'm going to tell you. Now, when it comes to dealing with things like emotions that all human beings experience, like, I am devastated that my dom broke up with me and it's been 2 months and I'm still not over it. What should I do? That kind of thing, totally cool. Or like, I'm struggling with jealousy, or I'm afraid of going to my first play party. What can I do to get over that? All things that I can give advice about. What I can't give advice about are, again, physical medical issues or mental stuff in regards to specific mental health conditions, i.e., if you are struggling with some kind of, let's say, bipolar disorder, I can't really tell you how to navigate bipolar with kink because that's not part of my experience. I'm not a mental health provider, not my field. But otherwise, feel free to ask whatever you want. The way that this works is people put questions in the chat, and I did not put the Q&A box in the chat. So let me fix that really quickly. Question. You don't have to use the white box, strictly speaking, which just got created right over here. You can see, white box, top of the chat. Depending on what version of YouTube you are using, you might not see it, but that's the best place to put questions because YouTube only lets me scroll so far back, and I try to answer questions in the order they come in. That's just like the most fair way to do it, but YouTube only lets me scroll back so far in the chat, and after like halfway through the stream, I typically lose a lot of chat messages. So if you want to make sure I see your question, the Q&A box is the best place to put it. However, if you put it there, only I can see it, which may be good if you want privacy, but that means other people in the chat can't see it, which means you don't get to also hear from other members of our lovely little community here who also have experiences that are different than me and have different perspectives and might also be able to offer thoughtful answers to your question if and before I get to it. So that is what you can use for that. You can also use a super chat, and it'll do what you just saw earlier when Sean donated, where when you donate through Streamlabs or through YouTube, it'll highlight your question on screen. It'll sometimes, depending on how you donate at $1 level, it'll also read it out loud, which is pretty nifty and cool. And then I will get to your question right away. Otherwise, I go in order, and obviously I reserve the right to not answer anything I don't want to talk about. So, like, if you ask something that annoys me or if you spam the chat a lot, I might not answer your question. So just be polite, be respectful, listen to me, listen to the mods, and that is basically all y'all need to know. And with that being said, I think let us get into some chatty things. The chat's been trained to expect the question box. How many months did it take? A while. But it's like, it's a new feature, and like a YouTube live streaming is weird, and I'm not even like entirely used to it yet because I stream on 3 different platforms and they're all different. Like I stream on Twitch, I stream on Vimeo, I stream on YouTube, and they all have different features. I really like it because it does give me a specific place where I know if it's in there, it's supposed to be a question, as opposed to if it's in the chat, I might not see it or like know if it's a question if you like forgot a question mark or something like that. However, I know a lot of people like it when other people in the audience can also like share their thoughts and ideas. And also, I wish there was a way that you could see that your question went there, like that you could check your own chat history to be like, hey, did my message actually send? Because otherwise you don't know. It just apparently disappears. So you might also just want to do a little copy paste and maybe just put it in the regular chat and in the question box. So that way you can get the best of all worlds. And that doesn't count as spam in my book. That's just operating with the tools that the YouTube gives you. So chat messages have a half-life. Yes, and I don't know what it is. It seems to be based on the frequency of messages. But yeah, that's also why it's good to do things like super chats, because it'll save those, it'll read them out loud, and it makes it easier to make sure that I like actually see your question, because I don't always. But yeah, please be respectful of all the hosts and the other people here. It helps out so much. Yes, respectful behavior is good. Like, oh my god. My FetLife account is like pretty locked down. Like, I intentionally make it pretty difficult to find my account or interact with me, because I don't need any random guy who sees me RSVP to an event to send me a message to be like, hey, you up? Hey baby, you look sexy, winky emoji. Like, I don't need that in my life. I don't get anything out of it. It's not even like positive attention. It's just like garbage noise cluttering my inbox, and it annoys me. So I make it very difficult to message me. And oh my god, I got this 5. I don't even know how they found me. I don't know. This random couple from Seattle like sent me just a cold call DM, 6 paragraphs long, out of nowhere, that I just discovered. I don't remember when they said it. I think it was like a month or two ago. They sent me this cold DM out of nowhere, 6-paragraph essay about how they want to be respectful of my relationships, but they're just curious if I would ever be interested in being a unicorn for them. And she's like, what? They used a really, oh my god. They used this term that just made me roll my eyes into the stratosphere. I think they said something like, because it was the man writing the message, of course. So he said, my girl is, like a hot goth princess or like something like that. And then like 3 paragraphs, this is the part that kills me. Okay, so first of all, cold DM. Second of all, my very hot goth girlfriend. Ooh, look at her, dangling her like a carrot at the end of this very strange stick. Then they get all the way to the bottom, the bottom of the essay, and they decide this is the time to tell me all of the concerts that they've been to. I assume to prove their goth princess queen whatever credentials. And do you want to guess? Do you want to guess what bands they listed as part of the evidence that they're goth, and that therefore I should be a unicorn for them? Oh my god. It is, I'm remembering it now. It is truly stupendous. It's amazing. It's amazing stuff. It's 2 a.m. in the UK. Yeah, glad you could make it. But yeah, so the bands that they sent me, if I remember correctly, the bands they listed were, first of all, Creed. Creed, Marilyn Manson, and I think like Alice Cooper or something. And I just, oh my god, like oh, Jesus Christ almighty. Like, I know that the term goth has like increasingly lost its definition as the time has gone on and the internet age and e-girls or whatever. Like, fucking people think that longevity guy Brian Johnson has like a goth girlfriend. It's because she's like a dark brunette and occasionally wears a black t-shirt. Like, please get over yourselves. Yeah, that's Creed. It's so funny. Like, people are just like, you're kind of alternative. That means you're goth, right? It's like, no. Oh my god, it was so funny. I never responded to them because I feel like, one, they probably copied and pasted the same message to like 100 accounts at least. So there's that. And then also, two, they probably just want any kind of interaction or attention. So at first I was like, I thought about sending a message and being like, just reading them like the law and being like, listen, you the first thing you said was that you wanted to be respectful of my relationships, but you were never respectful of me, which is more important, actually. And don't do this. Don't cold message people. How do I even fucking know you? Where in my profile did it say I was looking for like sex at all, let alone being a unicorn couple for a random couple from a different state? Like, what on God's green earth? It was yeah, it was quite the amazing interaction there. By gosh, she means she wears black lipstick sometimes, and that was like, listen, far be it from me to judge anyone's level of either makeup skills or general attractiveness. I am a woman on the internet. I get all kinds of weird and mean comments about people assuming I'm trans and that my assigned gender at birth is is sometimes either male or female. Like, I get all kinds of weird questions about like my voice, invasive stuff about like my body. But I will say, I was curious. I was like, okay, they've listed Creed and they've said that they're a goth baddie. I I need to know what they look like. So I went to their profile, and wouldn't you know it, it was somebody with like really bleach fried hair and like colored hair, and I don't even think that they had a single picture wearing black lipstick. Not that you have to wear certain clothing to be goth, like the music interest and subculture association is much more important, but just like you couldn't even get half of the equation correct. Like, there are people who think that goth is just like when you wear black lipstick, but it wasn't even that. It was like it's just completely off the pathway, just completely off. And I was like, wow, okay, great. I was like, I'll be impressed if they, I was, you know, they didn't know anything. It was great. I mean, gun to my head, I couldn't tell you a single Creed song, so like maybe, I'm sure I've heard it on the radio though. I came in late to this conversation. Yeah, we're talking about how a couple on FetLife tried to unicorn hunt me and then claimed that they were goth, and as evidence of the fact they were goth, they told me that they went to a Creed concert and also like Marilyn Manson, which is very funny because if you know anything about me, you know that I despise Marilyn Manson, just loathe him entirely on multiple levels, not least of all because he's been credibly accused of assault by like half a dozen women at least, so you know, I also wanted to mention that part too. But and you know what, whenever the moral of the story that I'm trying to get to is it does really cut down on the spam you get and weird messages you get on your FetLife page if you make it very difficult for you to message. Like, I don't even remember if I even have like, I don't even think I have a role on FetLife. It's like literally just the minimum requirements that they have for having stuff being public facing for a profile. Like, I don't have a location listed. I try to make it as difficult to locate me specifically as possible, and then also make it as difficult as possible for completely random people I don't know to message me. And some people still try anyways, and slip through the cracks, and there you go. It does help. Check out the privacy settings. They do matter. They do help. Although I have heard, I'm not fully informed about this yet, so I don't have any strong opinions, but I have heard that FetLife is doing things with privacy on the website that people are not a fan of. And hopefully I'm going to have the opportunity to hear more about that. But yeah, it just tales all the time. I mean, does that even kind of thing exist on other websites anymore? Like, I feel like that I just have DMs closed on Twitter for anyone who's not following me. So I've never experienced that on Twitter. But maybe Instagram? Do people get like cold messages on Instagram? Is that even a thing anymore? I don't know. Yikes, I'm old school because I love the Southern Death Cult, aka The Cult and Typo Negative. I mean, yeah, I mean, we get it. I don't want to get into debates about like which band's goth and which band's not. It just doesn't fucking listen, okay. Like, you've actually been to a goth club before? Especially like, I don't know, 25 years ago, you know that they were never only ever playing like Bauhaus and nothing else. Like, they've always played like a mix of different genres and related genres. Like, you know, you'll hear industrial music at goth clubs, you'll hear goth metal and like goth rock at goth clubs, you will hear all different kinds of related genres in goth clubs. We don't need to get into it, but we can all agree, I think, that Creed is not goth music. The end. Being unicorn hunted by a random couple from a different state happened to me when I was 20, except they reached out on the slave registry. Wait, what? Okay, so for people who don't know, there is it still around? Wait, I'm curious. Let me check. There is a website. I feel like this is a dangerous thing to Google in 2026. I'm just going to put BDSM at the end, just to make it real clear for Google search result that I don't mean actual like indentured servitude by an unwilling party. Okay, so it's slavereg.com, and it says 18/21 years or older to enter, depends on your country, which is interesting as a framework. And I guess you have to log in. I did not know that was like, okay, I thought the slave registry website was just for, okay, you know when you have a pet and you get the microchipped? First of all, would be fun to get microchipped. Second of all, unrelated thought. I thought it was like one of those like microchip websites where you could just like log in, store information, have your own little personal barcode. Like I thought it was like a very bare bones, like a registry. That's what I thought. I did not know that there was any kind of social media component to it or messaging system between people. That is, I guess maybe people go on there and maybe it's that they're looking for MS. I don't know. It's just, yeah, but it's a thing. It exists, and people still do, like, for collaring ceremonies and for other things progressing in their relationship. There are people who will, like, do registrations on the slave registry. And sorry, now my brain's just thinking about, could I, like, I know that people at, like, techie conventions, like hacker conventions and stuff, will do little RFID chips, and now I'm wondering if you could do... Could you do like a fake microchip or even a real microchip RFID thing for humans? Like, can you do that? Is that what happens if you do an MRI? Like, what happens if you get a medical procedure and they go, "Hey, do you know you have a chip in your back?" Like, that's a fun conversation to have with your doctor. Like, yeah, I know it's there. What cover story do you make for that when that shows up in the doctor's office on the records? Do you say, yeah, my boyfriend put it in there as a joke? Do you say, oh yeah, I went to a hacker convention and we all gave each other microchips? Like, what? How do you explain that exactly? I don't know. TSR had messaging and forums back in the early 2010s. Actually, I do like the fact that they had forums. I do miss the forum days, and I think with the impending implosion of Discord, that is some pretty firm evidence that we could go back to the forum days. Although, where would even host that now? Who would host a forum website? It's possible to receive tech implants. It's already been done in some people, but it comes with a few issues. A few people have them for accessories for their smart home and office. I have heard about that one for like people, like for techie people, they use it as like, oh, it's like my badge to get into work. So instead of having to carry around like their badge or have it like, you know, go up to the door or whatever, they'll like swipe their hand or something. Or for like motorcycles and things too, I think. Aliens. Oh yeah, that'd be crazy. You just go to the doctor, you're like, well, see, one time in 1986, I was in my grandfather's cornfield and I got abducted by aliens. Yeah, that'll do it. They'll definitely believe you then. There's probably multiple people who've done this already. All you have to have is a friend who works at a vet clinic and has some level of flexible morality. I mean, listen, you're not asking them for any, like, real drugs. You're just asking for a microchip, and that's probably way better than a lot of people who are like, hey, so you're a vet. Do you know how I can get insert substance here? That's what I imagine it's like if you're a vet. I don't think people ask you that if you're a doctor, because they understand that you have a medical license that you can very easily get revoked. But I feel like if you work at a vet clinic, people are like, I've watched TV shows where this has happened before. I bet they could give me some fun stuff. But don't do that. It's people's employment, please. Dear God. It's problematic going through an airport and metal detectors, magnets, as the chips can be sensitive. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't think I'd want to opt for, what's the cutesy name they call it? A tactical, advanced pat down? At the, like, I have TSA pre-check. I like just getting to zoom on through. I'm not looking to add on to that experience. Look, don't let the puppy players in on the idea that humans can be chipped. I mean, honestly, that's a weird conversation. With my personal knowledge of how much overlap there is between puppy play, trans women, and people who work in tech, they're already doing it. If there are somebody I know, if I ask them, like, hey, do you know anyone who's been microchipped before? They're going to be like, How'd you know? It's already happened. I gotta ask around. Now I'm gonna post this. I'm gonna post this on FetLife later. I'm gonna be like, hey, survey who's been microchipped before. Well, you can buy microchips for pets online. It should be insertable easily enough. Not that I'm recommending anyone try. Grinder is the term for people who do experimental body modification. Oh yeah, I gotta be real careful with the term grinder. In a Kink context, grinder, but the full spelling with the E at the end, not just the R. I didn't know there was a term for that. Interesting. Chips or Petplay would be so cool. I wish they would, like, if they could make the little ones that people have in their hands that are like here. I feel like that would be okay. But if you have to get like a one that's meant for like a Great Dane, I'm not so sure about that. Then I'm just thinking of a woman taking her pet girl to her vet friend for a checkup. This wasn't supposed to get out to the general YouTube public. We talked on Slack. I know. I'm sorry. I spilled the beans. I did. I know. I was too excited. Mea culpa. But I've actually, was this a Dark Odyssey this year? I want to say there was like a group scene thing, or like there was some event that happened in Dark Odyssey this last year where they did do like a vet checkup thing for pets, where it was like a free clinic, take your pets to the vet day, and then you got to do a cute little mini vet like medical role play scene. It was all very lighthearted. It was not like dark, fucked up vet torture experimental thing. Like, it wasn't like that. It was very much like, all right, we have a little checklist for you, and you get a 10 out of 10 on being a good girl, and your smile's a 10 out of 10, and your code's a 10 out of 10. Like, look at that, perfect marks, yay, here's a sticker. Like, it was very much like that kind of vibe, which I think is very wholesome and cute. And now I want to design a human pet checkup list where you can do like what they score. I don't know if other people had this. Like, I'm kind of picturing a cross between like a vet checkup thing, and in one of the elementary schools that I went to, they had a rating scale from like, I think 1 to 5 that they would like grade you on as like a report card before you actually really took like graded tests. So this was like kindergarten, first grade. They would grade you on like, you know, like how good you are at sharing, like how focused you stay on your work, like how much you listen to the teacher, like that kind of thing. And then they had a bunch of different categories, and they'd give you like total scores, and then there would be like a space for the teacher to write like a note about like whatever. And I feel like something kind of between that and a vet thing would be like really, really fun for pet play. In 3 months, someone's gonna come back on chat and say they've been chipped out because of this stream. I would be very curious to know how that goes. Yeah. I mean, if you don't want a microchip added, why not get one of them pet location tags? That's true. The main problem is that all of them suck. Like, unironically, I have had all the different, not even just for me, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about like for my dog. I have had a tile, I've looked into the other ones. The best thing you can get for a network thing is the Apple trackers, and I'm forgetting what they're called, the AirTags. AirTags are the best. They have the best network. They have the most number of devices connected to them. Those work really well. But if you're looking at any of the other ones, there's so many issues. They're like a mile apart from each other. But you could only get AirTags if you own an Apple device and are like invested in the Apple ecosystem. So if you own an Apple device, you know, you could put an AirTag on your partner's keychain and then use that as a proxy for tracking them if you wanted to do that. There are also like there's like a Fi collar that I've had for my dog, and I use it when I'm traveling, but like I live in an apartment and we don't like have a yard, so I don't like have her wear it literally all the time because it is a little heavy and she's a small dog. They came with a smaller one that's meant for cats and for small dogs, And I've thought about upgrading to that one, but I haven't, like, it's expensive, so I haven't actually bought it yet. But that is supposed to be it's a different level of tracker. It's good for like a different range, a different scope, and the idea is it alerts you when the pet goes too far away from a home base location, because you get a little like home base like disc thing essentially, where you have it plugged in, it's connected to your home Wi-Fi, for example, and then you set up a perimeter around your apartment or your house or something, and then it alerts you if the pet leaves. So it's not meant for, like, it's not going to track your dog down if they get lost in like the really big city necessarily, but it does help you know if they've gotten out of the yard or they've jumped over the fence or something. And that I think you could definitely have a human wear, but I'm not sure how that would work for... It does work for walks, though. It does track walks, but like the alert stuff is generally meant to be like if they like leave like a certain radius. But yeah. The person grading scale: compliance, enthusiasm, smile, playfulness, sociability, how well groomed they are, like physical. I think you gotta have some kind of like physical presentation stuff in there, like if they're well groomed, and you know, is their coat tidy, are their nails trimmed, that kind of thing. How are their teeth doing? You gotta check the teeth, very important. I've tried twice to submit a question, it randomly disappears. Do you know of any? Oh, here. If it's in the Q&A box, it will just go to the Q&A box. So let me see if it's in there. It doesn't actually look like your question is in there, Lady Abstracted, so I am sorry that it's not working for you. I don't know why, because it did just show up, so I don't know. The one you just sent anyways. Here, let me double check. No? Okay. That's weird. Well, I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. I've tried twice to submit a question, it randomly disappears, so I'll try my luck here. Do you know of any annual kink conferences where people can submit and present a poster and whatnot? A poster? Like an art thing? I don't know of any. The closest thing that I can think of is Kink Fest. I don't know if they still do this or if they will do it in the future, but in the past they had an artist alleyway where people would submit art to display and sell, and you didn't necessarily have to have a full booth, but you could display like paintings or physical prints and maybe posters. But or maybe that wasn't even for stuff that was for sale. Maybe it was like an exhibition thing. I don't remember. It's been a while. It's been a couple years. But that's the closest thing I can think of. If you're looking for like art presentation stuff, I don't know. Oh, no, like educational poster? Wait, do you mean like, okay, do you mean like when people like publish a scientific research paper, and then if you're in like the physics department, they have like a giant printout of like, here's our study, and it's like the long form giant version of like a study printout, and then they put it on like the wall? Are you talking about like that kind of thing? That I haven't seen at all. So I like flashing back to poster presentations at academic conferences. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, like, oh, like that kind of thing. I haven't ever seen that before. I feel like that's an interesting idea. There are a lot of conferences, especially the Dark Odyssey conferences, where they like it when people submit ideas. They actually have a whole portion of the event where part of it is, hey, we're taking submission for ideas to have at our event. What would you like to see? What would you like to put on? And people do like vet checkups, lube wrestling, flea markets, knitting circles, support groups, all kinds of things. And I could see theoretically where if you just want to like, you know, present a poster or something maybe, or like do educational posters, you could set something up that's like a mini educational lecture or something that's maybe not a more traditional like kink class, but is educational, and like, you know, maybe have other people come in and share stuff. I don't really know of any kinky conferences that are more like traditionally academic, like conference flavor type things. The closest thing, and I've never been to this, so I can't say, but it's on the East Coast. The Master Slave Conference, I think, has a lot of educational stuff at it that might be more geared in that direction, but I don't know. It's an interesting idea, though. I have seen, like, there's a couple of people I know of who do like kinky scientific research. Some of it's more like sociological, some of it's more psychology, but generally in that wheelhouse, where they have done studies and then they present their findings as part of a kink class, but it's more the traditional lecture structure of like, here's a slideshow and I'm in front of a lectern and I'm giving a presentation. Like sometimes they have visual aids and posters, but that's a lot less common than the, PowerPoints and things like that. So that's probably the closest. So I think the answer is like, I don't know of anyone who's specifically done that exact thing, but I've seen close-ish versions of it from different people. Hey Lexi, what's up? You missed us talking about microchips. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like if what you're talking about is like an academic take on kink, I have some theories about submission and subspace and the fawn response. I mean, I'm curious about that because I wonder if, and now I'm like, maybe it is related sometimes. Biology is weird. But I think if you wanted to flesh that out into a full class, that is something that you could do. You just have to do the more different. Some conventions take applications for presenters, some don't. Like Dark Odyssey is really like basically invite only. Whereas Test Fest and Kink Fest and Southeast Leather Fest and a lot of the other conventions have an open call for presenters, and then you go through usually a Google form and you submit, your name, your bio, information, what classes you want to teach, and all the rest. However, they are mostly, from my understanding, the more classes you offer, the more likely it is that you're going to get picked to teach oftentimes, because they need to slot in variety into their convention schedule, right? So if you only offer one thing, you're less likely to get picked. But you never know. It could still happen. And then if you have like a Dark Odyssey type thing, you could submit like an Ion if you want to do like a more informal presentation kind of style where it's not a traditional class, but it's more like a, hey, let's have a discussion. Because I could see that kind of thing. Like if I wanted to go that route, what I would do is instead of teaching it as a class, I might propose an Ion, which is like an individual self-hosted event where you have a discussion group about psychology and kink. And one of the things that you want to talk about is submission and subspace and, fawning responses and trauma responses. Like that would maybe be the format I would look to do. And then that'll probably draw people in that you can have a conversation with as opposed to just like a lecture. I have been doing well. Thank you. Very busy, but good. Got some Chinese takeout and ready to relax and enjoy the stream with you all. Heck yeah, definitely come and enjoy the stream. I have not had Chinese takeout and I don't even know how long. It's been a minute. I feel like Chinese food's hard to find like vegan takeout for sometimes. And I tend to get like sushi or Thai or like that kind of thing more than Chinese personally. What was the name of the independent discussion group at Kink Cons? I didn't catch it. So Dark Odyssey does a thing called Ions. So like ION, Ion. And it's you submit what you want to see happen at the event. If they like your idea, if they have room in the schedule, they'll put you on it. And I've also heard them call, like at rope conventions, they'll call them like GRUs, I think, which is like GRUE. Although I think a GRU is more like breakout groups in like a larger room, kind of all doing like a, hey, we're going to go over here and do this thing. And then the people jot off to go do things. And I think that's usually more skill focused, like a, hey, we're going to go over here and practice different styles of futomomos, or, come over here, we're going to practice our uplines. And then people kind of go to different groups and peruse around and float from space to space, as opposed to Ions are a little bit more like, they start at this time, and they're separate from each other, and they're in different rooms. Hopefully that answers your question at least. But yeah, that's what I know that's related to that. Let's get back to some more questions. Oh my goodness, we've been going for 40 minutes already. What the heck? You guys let me talk for way too long about microchips. I talked about microchips for way too long. There are tattoo artists that can safely put in a chip as a body modification. Not an organ, they can't. That is one of the downsides of organ. Is I think this is actually a positive. If you are in organ, there is not a legal way to perform body modifications like implants. The argument the Oregon state legislature has made is that there needs to be a system for training and supervision and oversight in place that doesn't currently exist. And until they build out what that system and know what it should look like, and until, that process can be established, they don't want to have random tattoo artists or piercers putting things under people's skin, which I think makes sense. So if you have to do something like that, can't be in my state. It's got to be somewhere else. I think it's legal in California. I would imagine it's legal in California, but it does depend on where you live, because I can't do that here, unfortunately. I think you learn that we need to let you explore these trains of thought and just enjoy the ride. Yeah, I feel like it ends up interesting and productive places, in my humble opinion. Ooh, interesting question from Will here. I'm going over to the Q&A box now. If you would like to make sure I answer your question, please use the Q&A box. If you can, I don't know everyone can see it or use it. It depends on what device you're using and all that other stuff. But if you want to make sure I answer your question, use a super chat, use Streamlabs, or use the Q&A box, and I will try my best to get to the question. But as we have just seen, I sometimes have fun ideas I want to talk through and explore, like microchips. So there you go. But Will asks, hey, I'm new to your streams. How do you feel about minors getting hold onto pup hoods? Oh, like they're getting a hold of pup hoods. Gotcha. I see it more that minors are using hoods as, Therian gear and pup regression. Oh, Jesus Christ. It makes me uncomfortable as an 18-plus pup. Hope you don't mind another question. Oh, okay, no, I thought it might be a follow-up, but it's a separate question. All right, first question. So I did not know that was a problem. And now I gotta sit and process the idea that 15-year-olds, let's say, are wearing knockoff from Temu Mr. S leather pup hoods as Therian gear and pup regression. Oh my god. Okay. The term just gives me psychological damage every single time that I say it. So this is one of the weird, unexpected problems with knockoff gear. So back in the day, when you had to get a hold of a harness or a leather hood, you either had to be able to order from a catalog, or you had to go to an in-person adult store. And those two things combined, you're not, as a 15-year-old, you don't have your own checkbook. You're not mailing a check to order something from, like, the adult fantasy catalog, So that prevented minors largely from having access to that, unless it was something that they could relatively easily DIY or, like, get as a hand-me-down, like, i.e., like, stuff in the punk scene where people are wearing, like, like leather collars and leather, like, bracers and things like that, But as far as, like, outright fetish gear is concerned, people were not really getting a hold of that. Oh my gosh, thank you, Ray. Thank you so much for the super chat. I don't know if there was a question associated with that, but regardless, thank you so much. But now, because commerce is largely online and anyone on God's green earth can make a Temu account, that means that anyone can just go and order a pup hood for $4 from China, and knowing how SEO tags work, the name of the item is probably something like Great Puppy Halloween Costume, Fun Therian, Cosplay, Petplay, Kink BDSM, Fetish, Adult Wear, Nightclub, Hot Sexy Fun, Hood, Leather, Real Genuine, 2026. Like, that's the name of the item. And so it's like, it's very confused messaging. And if you are just a random minor who doesn't have any idea about kink at all and is just like looking for stuff to wear that you think reflects your identity, and you end up coming across something because of SEO word salad and you just buy it, you don't understand the context of it. Like, I mean, I'm not going to be angry at the minor for that. I'm angry at the company for, one, knocking off something, two, making a shitty version of it, and then three, advertising it in a way where like minors can get confused and think that they're wearing a Halloween costume and not realize that they're wearing something that is like largely associated with adult gay men in particular. So that's problematic. That's one side of it. I think if they're intentionally doing it, or heaven forbid, and I have seen this happen with more than one thing, which is why I bring this up as an alternative, if they end up buying a hood on purpose because they see adults wearing it and they think, that's cool, that's fun, I want to wear the naughty adult thing, and they're telling me I shouldn't, but I'm going to buy it anyways, ha ha, lol, so funny. Come on now, let's be real. Or maybe they don't know the context at first, or they spin it like, well, like, adults shouldn't be sexualizing me, that's gross, I can wear whatever I want, I'm not trying to do something 18 plus, like, what does it matter, it's none of your business. And actually, you're gross and disgusting because kink is gross and disgusting, but, you know, my therapeutic regression is actually for my mental health, and so what I'm doing is good and what you're doing is bad, gross. And in my time in the community, in the thankfully few interactions I've had with minors who will take oftentimes Petplay gear or age play gear and then use it for, you know, let's say safe for work type purposes, which is a term we don't like, but that's how they would frame it. There is often this very weird reversal. Well, they will use things. They'll use terminology. They'll use gear that is made by adults for adults, and then they'll turn around to look at the adults and be like, "Ew, what are you doing?" And it's like, you took our thing and now you're calling us gross. That's concerning. That's weird. And also, pup regression's not real. I need to be super clear about this. Pup regression isn't real. Like, I know it's a term that I saw this be invented. I was on Instagram with my own human eyeballs in, like, I don't know, 2016. And there was a specific minor who really wanted to do pet play and wanted to do pet play stuff. And they were told, no, sorry, you have to be an adult. And instead of doing anywhere near the mature thing and being like, well, I guess just gotta wait 2 more years. Oh, well, they instead decided to invent the term pet regression and say, this is actually a safe for work. Like, they actually specifically called it safe for work. This is a safe for work trauma therapy coping mechanism, like just therapy word salad. And actually, kink is weird and gross, and what I'm doing is actually for my mental well-being, and so it's fine. And like, don't police how I deal with my trauma or something. Like, they literally just were like mad that they weren't allowed to do pet play, so then they came up with pet regression, and then kept using all the same gear, kept using all the same terms, kept doing all the same things, and then just scratched the serial numbers off and said, no, I'm doing something that's totally fine. And the same thing happened with age regression. And then it's since, you know, because Instagram and other websites like Tumblr are so difficult to look for historical information on. Like, you just have to be there when it happens to know any of this. They retconned it and then made it sound like it was this thing, like it had as though it had been a thing that people had done. And it's like, no, this was never a thing. I've been on the internet for a long time. No one. The word pet regression had no search volume before 2016. Not a single person was using that term. So they just made it up. And to me, this is frankly offensive because there are people who disassociate. Like, disassociation is a real thing that happens, whether it's like depersonalization and derealization, or it's people who have DID, or people who have systems, people who have alters. Like, in any way, comparing you acting like a puppy for a little bit in your bedroom to people that have, people who are part of a system, like, and also they made up stuff like, oh, well, therapists, do hypno-regression therapy, and so this is actually a valid therapeutic process. When, like, I have looked at thousands of profiles for therapists at this point in my life, probably, across multiple states, and I have never seen a single licensed therapist advertise that they do hypno-regression therapy. It's simply like hypnotherapy. Sure, some people do that. It's relatively rare, but some people do. But hypno-regression therapy? That's not a thing. I'm so sorry, babes. That's not happening. That's right. I am vanilla. That's true. The quiz proved it. Yeah. That's right. Exactly. That means I'm doing safer work, pet. I guess I'm doing safer work pet regression then. Fuck! Oh no. Evie, don't cite the pet regression to me. Zoomer, I was there when it was written. Yeah, more or less. I think as the youngest I've seen someone with a hood was 13. Oh no. I went to block and report straight away because what the fuck, they had 13 in their TikTok bio. I mean, if you have age in a bio, you're probably a minor. Let's be real. I think you only keep your age in your bio until you're like maybe 25, and then usually you stop because you realize it's unnecessary. But yeah, no, that's suspicious. And like I've seen teenagers who wear like, foxtails or whatever. That's fine. Like, you can buy a foxtail at any Ren fair. You can get them all over Etsy. It's not a sex thing. It's whatever. Like, now if they had a butt plug foxtail, that's a different story. But if you're just wearing a little fox keychain tail, that's fine. If you're wearing little cosplay ears, that's fine. The funny part is there's actually ways to do things that are really similar to the kinds of gear that we wear in Petplay that don't actually have any connotations that would be totally appropriate for anyone of any age to wear. Like, you can just get cat ears at Halloween. You can just, like, get cosplay ears for a character that has fox ears in an anime. Like, there's ways to do this that aren't like directly using something that gay Leatherman invented. Like, oh, it's so wild. But I just don't know. I think it is uncomfortable. I think it's probably fair to report that. I don't know. Maybe we should make it cringe. Maybe that's okay. I think we defeat them using adult gear by making it as cringe as possible. Like, make it as millennial coded as possible to wear harnesses and Mr. S leather neoprene pet hoods and whatever other bondage gear they've decided they're going to start wearing this week. Like, just make it unbearably uncool and then they'll stop. But the unfortunate part is like, you can't stop teenagers from doing what they're doing. They're just going to keep doing it. They might look back on it and think it's cringe, but the solution can't be ban the minors from wearing the thing. I don't even know I don't even know like what the solution actually even is for this. I think probably I actually am working on a video right now where I talk about like puphood discourse. So I might like have an aside where I talk about this a little bit, because if this is a thing that's happening in any volume, like let's like nip that shit in the bud like with a quickness, please. I think probably just raising awareness in general that like, hey, this is something that is strictly associated with adult activity. And I know it is leaning over now into being something that furries also wear, because there's a lot of overlap between like furries and people in the kink community and gay men. And so like you got a lot of Venn diagram overlaps happening there. It makes sense. But you just making it very clear. This actually is like a perfect use case for a TikTok where you're like, hey, so this actually is an adult thing for adults, and it actually is causing a lot of potentially dangerous confusion if you're wearing, especially a hood that's for adults, because if you make a bunch of TikToks where you're wearing a hood and people can't see your face, and people associate that hood like a GIMP mask, basically, with adult activity, they might assume that you're an adult, and that's dangerous for both you and the other person. So, like, how about just don't do that? Now, will they listen? No. Are they going to keep doing it? Yes. Yes, they are. They're going to keep doing it, and I don't know what to do other than just making it cringe. That's it. Just make it cringe. Cat ears were so popular where it was in 2017. It seems like it died down since then. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm drawing from when I say you could just wear cat ears. Like, people do just, like, wear cat ears in public. Like, I definitely knew people, even when I was in, I don't know about high school, but even, like, freshman year of college, I remember somebody used to see on the bus all the time that used to wear pet ears, like, every day. And they were not, like, kinky pet ears. They were, like, really cheap little like anime cat girl type cat ears with like, little bells on them and stuff. Like, if they were anything, they might have been a furry. So, it is a thing that exists. Yeah, exactly. When I was a teenager, everyone was into cat ears and yaoi paddles and glomping. Yeah, and now they're into GIMP Petplay masks and. Well, I don't know what else they're into. It's probably good that I don't know what teenagers are into. That's a good sign, actually. Yeah. We're talking about minors wearing pet play gear and then saying it's not for pet play. Yeah, no. There's just so many other options for Therian gear. There's just and other ones that are probably better. Like, hoods and masks are good for, I think, losing yourself in a character and getting really deep into a headspace. But you really don't need that specific hood to be doing it, Like, just... I don't know, man. I don't know. That's concerning that there's overlap. Because you know what's going to happen? Is that's going to be part of the discourse where libs of TikTok or whoever the fuck is going to make a video and they're going to be like, see, this is proof that the gays are indoctrinating the youth and they are using like puppy hoods to do this because look, they're gonna take a photo from like Folsom Street Fair of a bunch of men who are all naked except for pup hoods with their dicks out, and then they're gonna take a TikTok still from a TikTok video of a 13-year-old wearing a hood and be like, look, they're indoctrinating them into their sexual lifestyle. And it's like, oh my god, they just bought it from Temu. We had no control over that. Why did their parents give them a credit card? Like, dude, Jesus. That's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. My rough position, teenagers will keep doing weird things as boundary testing behavior. It's up to adults to just prevent teenagers from being in adult spaces, but beyond that, not much we can do. Yeah, and I think my distress isn't even necessarily over like, oh my god, teenagers are like stealing adult stuff, because like teenagers do that, right? They even like younger kids, like preteen kids, copy adults, right? With makeup, with hairstyle. That's why they're all into skincare right now. Like, they copy what they see adults doing because that's developmentally appropriate for them to be doing, right? Like, they see their older sister, their older cousin, or their mom doing a skincare routine, or, putting their hair in heatless curls, or, wearing makeup a certain way, or wearing a certain style of jeans. And if they admire that person, they're going to want to copy them. And especially with fashion, which I think, maybe this is simplifying it a bit, but I think they do to some extent see like pup hoods as a fashion thing. If they see it, I think it's cool. If they see other people doing it, they're going to want to copy it. So I don't think the copying itself is bad. It's this is going to be, especially right now in this current political climate, that might be a little, that's a little dangerous. That's a little dangerous. One, because, you know, if people can't see your face and you're actually a minor, people might mistake you for an adult when you're not, which is unsafe for you and for the other person who's an adult who thinks they're interacting with an adult. And the Libs of TikTok thing, where they use this as evidence of gay people like grooming minors and intentionally trying to indoctrinate them into some kind of hedonistic, demonic gay lifestyle, which is like, no. But ultimately, maybe it's just parents aren't supervising their children. Maybe we shouldn't be, like, are parents just ordering this for their kids and not knowing what the connotation is? Do children have access to debit cards? Like, how are they getting their hands on this stuff in the first place, especially at such a young age where, like, if you're 13, is there any, outside of maybe having a paper route, which no one has because no one buys newspapers anymore, what job can you even have at 13 where you would even be making your own money to buy such a thing in the first place? Maybe they just get one of those. I mean, I used to get when I was younger. I remember a couple times when I was a teenager, I got like a Visa gift card that was essentially a debit card that had like $50 on it, and then I could spend it anywhere that I wanted to, and it was just easier to use than cash. I got that a couple times, so maybe it's that. I don't know. But like, I don't know, check what your kids are doing. I don't know. Just, that's my opinion on that. Anyone a bit older like myself needs to tell any use they see in Petplay gear how cool we think they are. I am kidding. Do not do that. No. Okay, just don't interact with minors. How about you just don't do that? I'm saying you just make it uncool by making it super millennial coded. Like, you make a bunch of TikToks about Petplay gear and you just make it obvious that it's super, super, super millennial to wear a Petplay hood, and then they're just going to stop. Then they won't do it anymore. One of the big things I question about the indoctrination argument is, are kids not taught to think for themselves? Did you raise an autonomous human or a robot that only knows how to follow orders? Well, first of all, I think that kids are largely making their own decisions, but I think there is definitely a subsect of conservatives where they actually don't want children to have critical thinking skills and be independent, because scientifically, the more educated you are and the more access you have to like fiction and creative thinking and critical thinking, the more likely it is that you don't vote Republican. So they are, especially not even just on that level, that's maybe more like administration people are thinking about that. But the other level of it is you're more likely to like leave the group and like leave the religion you're a part of and become something else. And so the less you're able to critically think independently and make your own decisions, the better it actually is for most conservatives in like maintaining what they see as the ideal family structure. So they actually are invested in making sure their kids cannot necessarily think independently. They might not think of it that way. They might not be framing it in their heads as, I'm preventing my child from having critical thinking skills, but how they talk about education, the way they educate their kids, and their general propensity to do homeschooling in the first place does make that more likely. Yeah, the millennials are the olds now. Yeah. Gen X got ignored. Gen X has never been relevant. So if you're Gen X, you're good. No one's firing shots at you. And I have the distinct and a completely horrible privilege of being the dreaded zillennial, which means everyone hates me. Which means is there a term for between being a Gen Xer and a millennial? I guess is that also zillennial? That's confusing. Exennial? So am I a zillennial that dates exennials? Is that what happens? Millennials aren't old, we're vintage. Yeah. But also, Zoomers are afraid of anything being earnest, and that sucks for them. So they're gonna wish that they could have unironically, genuinely, deeply enjoyed things, and they'll probably learn eventually. Just they haven't learned it yet. It'll be okay. Wearing my Petplay gear, eating my avocado toast sandwich, talking about how awesome the 90s were. Gen Z propelled as if a vampire by a cross. Yeah, that's what you gotta do. You gotta have your avocado toast. You gotta talk about only 90 kids remember. Only 90s kids remember. That'll do it for sure. Yeah, how do you pronounce, is it like exennial? That sounds like eczema. I feel like that's not flattering at all. Haven't they been calling us elder millennials? I guess maybe that's what they mean by elder millennial, perhaps. Or people are millennials who were born in the 80s after the cutoff for Gen X? Oh, I see. Ignored by their parents and now their kids. I mean, I think that's probably I'd rather be ignored if I had to pick. I had to pick. Anyhow. All right. Again, if you'd like to make sure to answer your question, you can put it in the question box up there. It is the bright white box. And it's the best place to make sure I see and answer your question. Otherwise, I can't promise that I will get to it. Okay, next question. I'm a pony player, and I'm specifically looking for a mule pony hood. Are there any makers you know that would ship to the UK? I've never seen a mule hood before. Actually, I don't know how they keep popping up on this stream, but they keep being relevant somehow. Is there... Let me see here. Before I recommend this to you, let me make sure that I'm actually sending you to the right place. Oh my goodness, I am so right. You're gonna love me. If you go to scrapyardleather.com and you go to Hood Gallery 3, they have a hood gallery of custom donkey hoods. I know a donkey is not a mule, but it is pretty goddamn close. So I am sure if you message them, they could very much make you a mule hood if that is what you would like. So, and they make all different ones. Like, they make cheetah hoods, lions hoods, bear hoods, horse hoods, donkey hoods, puppy hoods, pony hoods, fox hoods. You get the idea. There's all the different hoods. Every single one that you can think of that is around that approximate shape they can do. They don't do like toy breeds, unfortunately, and they do have a little bit of like a cartoony-ish look to them. So you have to like the style of hood that they make, but I think they make cute ones. They even have, they have marine animals. Somebody made an orca hood. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, they've made alligator hoods. They've made crocodile hoods. They have separate crocodile and alligator hoods, which I don't quite know what the difference is in the hood style between the two of these. I don't see that much of a difference, but maybe it's like the snout length and width or something. Anyways, they make all different kinds of hoods, and I would check them out. So there you go. I don't know if they ship to the UK. I think they're based out of Canada, so they probably should. I think they're based... I might be confusing them with a different brand. Yes, they are... They're in Saskatchewan, so I don't think there's any problem between the Canadian. I don't think there's any. I don't know Canada to UK shipping. I'm assuming it's a thing, so that'll be a message you can send them. Glad you could make it. Thank you. As always, I will note generations are fake. Only the class struggle is real. Honestly, Ren, true and based. This year I'll be able to quote that guy from the Holy Grail. I'm 37. I'm not old. Yeah, soon my time will come. Oh, little fluffy baby. Yeah, look at you. You're so cute. Look at those little ears. Look at those little ears, ma'am. You're so precious. Look at that. Okay, I got distracted. I don't have any cool magical powers, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't. Sometimes I do makeup for the live stream, but I do sort of like that I have like I'm not like hiding my face or anything. Like I try to make it clear that I'm a real person. I don't always wear makeup all the time. It's also I don't know, I feel it's better for my skin to give it a break. If I had to wear makeup every single day I live stream and filmed, I'd be wearing makeup 5 days a week. So I just wouldn't. That would not be good for my skin. Who cares about generations? The real question is whether or not you're on MySpace. I wasn't on MySpace, so failed on that part, I suppose. All right, next question here. About consent, how do you psychologically separate a role play no from a real no? I guess when you say psychologically, does that mean like when you're hearing somebody else say it and how you interpret it psychologically in your own head, or how you mentally internally experience a real no from like a role play no? I mean, I can't speak for everyone. So in general, I don't really play with the word no that often. It's not a never ever thing, but it's not a regular part of my dynamics to like say no when I don't really mean no. It's not like, at least in a scene context, like kind of like the way you would horse around with a vanilla partner and be like, no, stop it, but you don't really mean it. Like when you're like, I don't know, when somebody tells you that you're like, you know, like really sweet, or there's like, you know, somebody's like sending you a bunch of compliments or something and you're like playing around, right? And it's part of the rapport that you have to joke that way. But when I'm doing role play stuff and I'm, you know, in the kind of framework where I might say no as a for fun thing, I'm role playing in the context of like, saying no actually gets me closer to the experience that I want to be having. Like the no, it's not that the no is secretly a yes. It's more like the no is the thing that gets me closer to what I want. Whether that be like, if I say no and I struggle, that makes my partner, you know, hold me down more, or makes my partner hit me harder, or makes my partner do whatever thing, right? It actually makes more of the thing happen. Or maybe I get the sensation of like saying no and not really being able to stop it, and then that getting me to the place of like psychologically feeling like I can't escape, and that being the desired space that I want to be in. Like the no is a tool that's used intentionally to get to the place that I want to be at. And that feeling is like, there's a lot of, at least, again, this is only from my experience, at least for me, that's very intentional. I'm very aware that it's happening. That's totally different from a real no. Like the pressing, like a role play no when it's fun and I'm like using it as a silly no, and like as a role play no, like that's a button I'm pressing to make a thing I want to have happen. Whereas if it's a real no, if I'm saying no because I don't like it, it's associated with all of the genuine internal psychological feelings that go with just saying the word no the way that you typically would. Like, you know, no, I don't want that. In my head, I'm like, this sucks. I don't want this. Like, real no is trying to get you away from the thing that you don't want. Role-playing no is getting you closer to the thing that you do want. And that thing that you do want might be feeling afraid, or feeling scared of your partner, or feeling like you can't escape, or feeling trapped. Those might be desirable psychological states, but you're intentionally getting yourself there, or progressing the scene to get to that point by what you're saying verbally. So hopefully that makes sense. I actually don't think it's like that confusing. I think sometimes if you're playing with like really intense roleplay, like you're playing with, you know, CNC, fear play, like you really genuinely want to feel very scared, there might be a moment where you do really like say no and you want it to end, but then it doesn't actually end because that's not how you agreed the scene would end. Like no isn't a safe word, but that also might you might actually want that to be the state. And so it's like, the explanation I gave is much more of a general application of that I think is applicable to probably 90% of people's kink experiences. But there are certainly a minority of people where, with the way that they approach kink and the way that they approach like CNC and fear play and that kind of thing, they want to be able to say no and really mean it and want it back out when they say no, but then still be forced to do something anyways, and then they have another word that they use that means actually this really needs to stop, like for real. Or at minimum, they accept the risk that their no isn't going to be taken at face value and might be ignored, and that's a risk-aware kink perspective. If you're playing with a realistic sounding no in the context of CNC, you would use a safe word and or body language to tell the difference. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, maybe that is, we're saying, because I didn't say it explicitly, like, whether you're doing CNC or any other kind of, like, kink roleplay stuff, if you are using no in a scene, I think if you're going to be playing with any words, that should be discussed ahead of time. Like, if that's no, stop, mercy, please don't, fuck you, whatever. If you're going to be playing with language like that and you know that you either want to do that or that is language that you might just end up using because it's like it's an impulse, the same way you might say ow when you stub your toe, communicating that impulse or how you communicate and what it means to a partner is really important, because not everyone responds the same way to everything, or not everyone's no or stop or whatever means the same. So there are people who like will say no repeatedly, but that's just them like processing pain. Like they're not saying no to the activity, they're saying like ow, this sucks, but they're still opting into the experience. So that, I think, is something that's worth mentioning, right? Is if you're going to play with terms, talk about it ahead of time. And I think it's generally best practice, if somebody hasn't told you what their no, what their stop, what their whatever phrase means that sounds like, hey, you might want this thing to be over, that's a pause and check in moment and see where they're at. And if you still don't feel comfortable with it, if you feel like there's any level of ambiguity, there's no shame in just stopping the scene, because you can always play again later. And I think if you do like the right thing in terms of consent, if you try to essentially help preserve your partner's well-being, that's going to be taken as a good sign, and you will most likely get the opportunity to play with them again if the other aspects of the scene were going well and you had a good connection. Whereas if you ignore that and you push too far and you don't check in with people and then they're saying no, stop, and you keep going through the anyways without having talked about it ahead of time, I think there's a much stronger chance that person's going to be like, yeah, they didn't even really check in with me. I was saying no, they just kind of kept going, like it was really weird. I think that's more likely you're going to be interpreted in a negative light that way. Definitely, I refuse to top service to someone because their safe word was green. Sure, I could probably do that, but I just feel like that's a bad idea. Oh no, I would not do that. That's very confusing, especially if they ever play in public. Yeah, no. Now, playing, like, if you're gonna play with the safe word color system, I would generally recommend keeping it to the scope that the general populace uses it to mean. Because if you're playing outside of that, that's going to cause a lot of confusion if you ever do play in public. Because DMs are trained to listen for things like red and green and yellow. And if you say red and red is your green in a public venue, that might cause you some issues. So you better be safe than sorry on that one. But I don't know. I don't really get anything like out of using safe words. Like not in that way. I get like safe words. I get something out of using safe words in the sense that it's like a safety mechanism. But as far as playing with safe words, like red and green, specifically and having my partner ignore them, like that's, I don't really get the appeal. Like to me, there's not any extra spice that comes from that versus, playing with like mercy or stop or please don't or just no. So I don't know. This is not my cup of tea. This reminds me of how in some activist groups, willingness to be arrested is normally called red, while never being arrested under any circumstances is green. Quite confusing. Interesting. I did not know that was a term that they use that way. That's, I guess red is like more dangerous and green is like more beginner, I suppose, perhaps, maybe. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard that before. The more you know. Well, definitely don't start doing kink stuff at your yeah, your local anti-ice protest. How about that? Avoid any confusion there. Yeah, someone who helps organize events, please don't mess with the meaning of the stoplight terms at public events. And even when you do it in private, I think if that becomes your habit and you're used to doing it that way, it's a lot more likely that it's going to accidentally like slip out when you are in public, because that's what you're used to using by default. And when you're in the middle of a scene, like maybe it's like your first time playing at a kink dungeon, and up to that point you've played for like 2 years privately at home, like that's a lot of mental conditioning to overcome, to suddenly in this one time in a different context, now out of nowhere use either the opposite of your usual system or use something else entirely. Like practicing using safe words is important because you got to build up that muscle memory. Okay, let's look at yes, that exact logic. A green protest is safe, and well, a red protest is not safe. So logically, green is no arrestability, or red is yes. Confuses all the kinksters. Yeah. Why are you hurting me? What's wrong with you? I tried telling a cop, and they still arrested me. Oh no! I mean, that's cops for you, I guess. Shocking, shocking. I know to everyone here. What do folks tend to do for Palentines? Palentines. You know, I don't know. I don't know what people do for... I've never celebrated Palentines before. I like the idea. So I'm going to guess that... I've heard of Galentines. So it's like Valentine's Day, but it's for your pals. And I'm kind of picturing like a Friendsgiving scenario, where instead of having a romantic date night, you have like a friendly movie night potluck kind of thing. That would be what I was gonna do. Like if I had a Palentine's, it's about showing appreciation for your friends, in the same way that Valentine's Day is about showing appreciation for your romantic loved ones. And I think Palentine's a good time to have just like a friendly social get together. Maybe get brunch, maybe have everyone over for dinner, have a potluck, you know, play games together, watch a movie, do like group stuff together as friends. That would probably be it. As far as kink stuff goes, I can't think of anywhere I know that's hosting any like Palentine's Day type activities. Not that it doesn't exist. I have seen anti-Valentine's Day stuff. Like a lot of venues are doing like anti-Valentine's Day Friday the 13th parties, which I think is cute and fun. But I don't know if anyone's doing like a Valentine's Day thing for kink. I think if you were doing a Valentine's Day activity for kink, it'd probably just be like platonic pickup play, I'd imagine. Just pick your poison on what kink you want that to include, but just, you know, friendly, non-sexual pickup play, probably. Alright, see you, Lexi. Have a good weekend. Oh no, your PC's overheating again. Oh no! Poor laptop. Bandita is so cute. You're so snoozy. Snoozy girl. You're so snuggled up. It's adorable. Going out to dinner for Palentine's unless my pals cancel. Oh, yeah, hopefully they don't cancel. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. But I like going out for dinner. That's a good one too. I guess you can't go out for like a big group dinner. People might assume you're in a polycule on Valentine's Day if you do that. I guess I'm assuming Palentine's is like on Valentine's Day. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's the 13th. Oh no, speaking of kink, that one dating coach is back with a new account. No, this is the worst news. Why are all my ops coming back? Fucking Neil, fucking Army Hammer, fucking that guy, I guess. What's his name? Jake Moreau. the everyone, they're all this. No one ever stays canceled. I have to know. Please tell me what is. Don't link to it because it'll get deleted. Can you tell me what the name of the new account is, so we can hopefully all cringe together about it? Because maybe it'll be fun to cringe together. I can't even remember what his channel name even was originally. What even? I want to say it had something with like alpha in it, probably like some kind of alpha dating strategies was like the name. Something like that. Alpha Dom. Oh no, not that guy. And not that. I forgot about him. I thought it was the dating coach that like made the like the kink skills course where he teaches you how to pull hair in a dangerous way really badly. Okay, yeah, 4.0, sorry, not 4D. They seem equally likely. 4.0. I feel like he's been on like 6 different accounts. Like that's not even probably his 4th account, let's be honest. So my conclusion about Alpha Dom, actually didn't Moist Critical make a video about this guy not too long ago, like a couple months ago? My conclusion is I think he's like deeply mentally unwell. And I don't mean that in like a judgmental, like ableist way. I mean like legitimately, I think that guy's like severe mental health issues. Listen, I'm gonna shock you all. You guys want to hear some, like, I don't know if I'm gonna make a video about this again, because I think honestly at this point if I cover him again, unless another really big YouTuber does first, the only thing I'm doing is really just like feeding into whatever delusions of grandeur he probably has. I found photographic evidence that he was dating a teenager in high school, while he was very much not in high school. Like photos of her high school graduation, she is wearing a very obvious BDSM collar and talks about him being there. So I've been bullying him on Twitter and TikTok. Somebody's got to. Thank you for your service. The fact also that he like can't stay away from the internet and then keeps being banned and making more accounts, like, damn, this is really like your whole deal, isn't it? This is really the only thing that you got going for you, huh, buddy? Yep. All right, cool. The funny part is there's like so many Twitter accounts with the name Alpha Dom in them. So many. It's a lot of foot stuff, actually. It's a lot of gay foot fetish accounts. Maybe somebody should tell him that the name Alpha Dom apparently goes with feet, according to Twitter. Yeah, but no. He should branch out to Alpha Dom 5D and do the QAnon crowd too. Proper dominance will allow you to achieve 5D consciousnness, accessing the med beds. Yeah, where's our med bed cards? I want my med bed card. How am I supposed to get all of my COVID vaccine Bill Gates implants removed if I don't get access to my med bed? It's real bad. Yeah. Yeah, it's out there. Anyways, that's why I won't probably cover him again specifically. I'm sure that there are exes of his out there that have opinions about him. In fact, I know that there are. but there's no reason to spotlight his account unless he's already gained prominence from other people finding out about him. All right, so that's Valentine's and I guess Alpha Dom. So, all right, half an hour left. If you have not asked your question, and especially if you've not put it in the Q&A chat, or if you've not used a super chat or Streamlabs to donate and get your chat read out loud, now is a great time to do that, because I can't promise I'm going to get to anything beyond what I already have if you don't ask in the next couple of minutes. FYI. How do we deal with the fact, quote, problematic tropes, power imbalances, stereotypes are often exactly what makes the kink work for people? How do we deal with the fact problematic tropes are often exactly what makes kink work for people? I guess I'm not accepting the premise that, like, problematic tropes are what make kink work for people. I think that's probably, like, misidentifying what makes kink work for people and, like, drawing similarities because they seem superficially similar, but they're not actually on a deeper level like that similar. I mean, I think probably the biggest, like, I mean, also, how do you deal with is also, like, what do you mean, how do you deal with? Like, do you mean, like, how do we talk to people about it? Do you mean, like, how do we make sure that we don't go too far with something? Like, there's a whole bunch of different things in there. So I would probably say the way that I make this work for me is, like, I focus on, okay, how am I doing the thing that I'm doing? What is important about the way that I'm conducting myself to make it meaningfully different from, like, a real out in the world power imbalance? And I remember that the power imbalances that we create in kink are intentionally created on purpose, and they're something that we acknowledge and consent to and can opt out of at any time and stop experiencing. Whereas the power imbalance I have with my boss doesn't ever really go away. Like, if I'm, you know, let's say I'm, like, romantically dating somebody and they're my dominant partner and we're in a DS relationship. If the DS wasn't working for me anymore and that power imbalance wasn't working for me anymore, I could opt out of doing that power exchange. I might, and maybe even most likely, would end up keeping that romantic relationship, but it just wouldn't keep being kinky because I can opt out of that portion of what we're doing. Whereas if, you know, I have a relationship with a boss who is the one who pays money that gives me the means to do everything else in my entire life, I don't get to opt out of that power imbalance. I don't get to opt out of that experience, and I'm not even, like, co-creating that with them. It's from the outset, from the hiring process onwards, a very top-down, non-mutual experience, whereas kink from the very beginning has to be mutual, and you negotiate from an egalitarian basis to make things non-egalitarian intentionally on purpose within certain constraints and limits. So as far as, like, how do you make that work, that's, like, how you make it work is, like, if you're talking about, like, playing with tropes like certain roleplay flavors, like if you're talking about doing a, like, boss secretary roleplay, well, like, that's roleplay, that's temporary, it has a very clear beginning, middle, and end. Like, that's a very set period of time. It doesn't actually impact your livelihood or your ability to keep a roof over your head or feed yourself or anything that has, like, meaningful long-term consequences. And I think that's probably what's most important. Yes, Sean. Yes, I did. I saw your message. So yeah, I don't know if that exactly answers your question. But that's my thought about it is stereotypes are different. Like, I guess the one, like, stereotypes being what exactly? Like, stereotypes that women are submissive, I guess. Like, is that what you're talking about? And that's like, you know, how do we deal with that? And it's like, well, you know, most submissive women I know are not necessarily submissive in their everyday life outside of what they do for kink. So that's probably the big part of it. But like playing with stereotypes, like, gives people a sense of authority, control over them that can be a relief. Power imbalances. I'm wondering if there's also an element of whether people take pleasure in the taboo. Some might, but others don't find the taboo interesting. See playing with safe word chat. Yeah, like I'm somebody who's not really motivated by the taboo. So when I'm showing up in a relationship or showing up in a scene, like, I'm not playing with the elements I'm playing with because I want to subvert anything or play with a taboo or like feel like I'm like getting away with something. Like, I'm doing things that feel fun to me because they're fun or because they feel like an authentic expression of who I am. And there's not any part of that that's like, ooh, well, I shouldn't be doing this or this is wrong. That's not really how I frame my kink most of the time. Or like, not even most of the time, just like ever. That's just like not a thing that like crosses my mind. It's like how wrong or right something is or how it does or doesn't fit a stereotype is not a motivator for me. So that just doesn't even cross my brain. Do you like horror? And if so, how do you celebrate if so, how do you like the Friday the 13th films? Do you celebrate this day? So I don't have any specific Friday the 13th celebrations. I don't usually do anything for it. I don't think I've ever seen the Friday the 13th movies or Halloween or like really any of the 80s horror movies or even like 90s horror movies I haven't seen. I don't really watch any straight up horror movies. I've seen a couple. Like I like psychological thrillers, I would say. I like The Substance when I watched that. I like, there was another movie I watched that I cannot remember the name of. I don't know. I've watched like a handful of horror or like movies with horror elements to them, but it's not my go-to genre. Nosferatu wouldn't be like a horror movie. I like whatever that is. Like I like cinematography and I like interesting, unique plot lines and like dramatic period pieces with good costuming. Whether or not there's a romance involved is sort of optional. But yeah, I like psychological thrillers and I like historical dramas, I suppose, or just like historical movies in general. Like if you get a really nice detailed historical movie, that's kind of my jam. But yeah, I never really got into horror. It was never really my thing. Yeah. I don't know, I'm just not really motivated by taboos and stuff. I just not really had any. I just feel like I feel like maybe if I cared more about societal expectations, it might make taboo stuff more interesting. But I haven't really ever conformed closely to what normal is supposed to be anyways. So I'm not invested in maintaining normalcy, and I think because of that, I don't really get anything over like subverting normalcy. Oh no, I work an outdoor manual labor job now and can't paint my nails anymore. They chip. My hair is nearly as long as yours and I'd be comfier if I cut it. I'm afraid of looking like a generic Republican. Help. So I tend to date people that have very long hair, who also work blue collar jobs, and the solution they have generally found for this is putting their hair in a long braid and then either putting it in a bun or doing some kind of top knot with it during the daytime. And they have hair that's about as long as mine is as well. So that is generally the solution. However, I think if you wanted to cut it so maybe it didn't get in your way as much, you could do like a shoulder length kind of thing. You could do like a shoulder length, clavicle length thing. I don't know what hair texture you have. That's pretty important. Like, is it fine? Is it thick? How, like both in terms of like the hair strands themselves and also like the density of your hair, and then also like what curl pattern does your hair have? Like, if you have thick, coarse hair versus my very thin and fine hair, like what kind of haircuts might work for you is gonna vary. But if you have hair like mine, like there's a reason why I grow it out one length, no layers, and that's because if I put any layers in this, it makes me look like I have no hair, so I don't get layers, generally speaking. But yeah, I think if you want to keep the long hair, learning how to braid your own hair and keeping it up and out of the way is probably the best. It's dense as AF, mostly straight. I think we might be hair twinsies. Mine's just brown. Yeah, I like that you think my hair is dense. That's very nice of you. It's not. But I don't know. It's like, I used for a while. It was quite thin. I feel like this might be, I don't know. It's like fine. It's on like the thicker side of thin, I feel like. But it's definitely not dense. And actually one of my partners has very like thick, dense hair, like very like Mediterranean, like thick, dense hair. They like, it can be quite annoying to keep it up because it is so thick, and they're like, either they kind of, their long hair is, if they have to do stuff, is like clavicle length, or if it's like they kept longer, like ponytails, braids, that kind of thing. But especially if you can braid it when it's wet, that'll help. That'll be easier to like braid it if it's really thick and it's annoying to braid. Braiding it when it's wet might be easier. Or you keep it in a top knot. That also works too. You can get adjustable wire nail rings. You just need to glue fake nails to them and bend them to size. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Disband it like cardboard boxes. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think she's ever like liked a box before. She's normally kind of scared of like black plastic stuff, so she's not into like shipping, like mailing containers or garbage bags or like the cover stuff they put on like the side of a house. She's not into any of that. But a box, she smells them occasionally and then just goes, "That's not food," and then moves away. But she is cat-shaped enough to where I feel like it is a valid question to wonder if she does like a good box. Maybe I've been tricked by the black that it seems thick. I'll try braids next. I just don't really want. I just really don't want to look like a Ford F-150 luster. Is that a stereotype? Is that a look? I mean, I guess it depends on the rest of your look, but I guess like when my partners braid their hair and they have long hair, they don't think they look like that when they're at work. So I don't know. It's kind of I don't know. You just keep it in like a crown braid. Do a milkmaid braid. That'll solve the issue. Keep it out of your hair. All right, 15 minutes. Ask your questions now or forever hold your peace. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. Who takes out the trash or handles the taxes when one person is technically owned by another is equality? I feel like I've had the same flavor of question like multiple times. There's like, I feel like there's like a vibe to a lot of the questions I've been getting the last couple of streams. Where like, is this just AI? Like, what's happening here? Is this true equality even possible in the real world for people who live the lifestyle? Who takes out the trash or handles the taxes when one person is technically owned by another? I don't know. They talk about it. Like, that's like... I'm sure I'm not to get upset about this. Because it is like... I resent the idea that, like... that somehow means the vanilla side of the relationship is, like, less equal. Like, people... negotiate the framework of their relationships in kink more extensively than they do in the vanilla world. Like, you know how many people go to marriage therapy because they don't talk about who should be the one to take care of the garbage or fold the laundry or make sure there's like fruit in the house for breakfast? Like, that's like probably 50% of like everyone who goes to visit. Everyone who goes to visit a marriage therapist is like, well, but she never does this or he never does that. And they just don't, because they don't talk about it. They don't set expectations. So I actually think it is more fair and more equitable to, instead of implicitly assuming who has what responsibility or who is doing what, to explicitly outline who has responsibilities over which areas and why. Because study after study has shown in heterosexual relationships, men overestimate how many chores they are doing, and women, I think, can also overestimate a little bit how much their partners are doing. But in reality, women are still doing the vast, vast, vast majority of household chores, even in so-called egalitarian dynamics where they don't have kids and they're both working. Like, think about that. Even in scenarios where both partners are working the same hours at the same level of job and they don't have kids to take care of, the woman is still doing the vast majority of the housework because men don't know about or don't see all the things that have to get done. So I don't even think the real world is equitable for people who are living vanilla lifestyles, because scientifically it's not. Even in Nordic countries, which are presumably the most advanced feminist societies currently on Earth, the majority of women are still doing the majority of the household labor, on top of working equally and contributing to the household equally outside of the home. So that's the first part of this answer. It's just like, no one's equitable. Sexism and sexist assumptions about household labor and invisible unpaid labor that women do is a problem in all facets of society, vanilla or kinky. And I think it can actually make things more equitable, because instead of assuming based on gender stereotypes that this is your responsibility to do, or of course you would be doing this thing, or like that's just what you should be doing, you sit down and you talk about it and you come up with a plan for like who is the one who handles the taxes or who is the one who takes out the trash. And it's not a given that the submissive is going to handle all of that. Or like the dominant doesn't do anything around the house. Like, I know plenty of dominants who are very particular about how they like certain things to be done, and so they do that still, or they want to do it. Or gasp, even dominants who are also service oriented and also like taking care of their partners, and so that means that when chores get done, they do it with their partners sometimes. Like, in a lot of my dynamics, like, service is a big part of it, but it's not always just like me sweeping the floor or my partner like eats bonbons on the couch and like watches a soap opera. Like, there's a lot of times where we actually like work together to do things, and like they're giving me direction as we're doing it. They are still in control of what's happening, whether it's like unloading the dishwasher or organizing a bookshelf, but we're doing it together and they're directing me as it's happening. So like, as far as like who does it when somebody's owned by somebody else, like there's no implicit assumption with being owned, quote unquote, about what that means in terms of who handles what household responsibilities. Plus, like, a lot of people who have ownership relationships don't even live with each other. So like, what do you do about that? Technically, he's doing a lot of legwork, yeah. It just seems like a very odd thing for a bot to ask. I just don't understand what the motivation is for bot Q&A questions. Like, I would get it if they were like advertising something or like trying to catch me in like a gotcha or something, but I just don't get it. I just don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's very, very strange. Would it be easier to make my first latex piece or buy it? I don't have the money to buy, but also don't have the skills yet to make it. Do you know how to make patterns, and do you have experience making your own garments out of other types of fabric or other materials? If you don't have any skills in making a garment from patterning up, I would say it is going to be cheaper for you to just buy it. And you're going to get something that you like better in the end, ultimately. If you do have experience with, like, you know, cosplay or costuming or just sewing your own garments and, like, making stuff like that, you might be able to break even or do something that you like. And yeah, but, like, making your own clothing is generally not a money-saving experience, especially with latex, because latex sheets are expensive, and actually making latex making latex garments is a very specialized skill. So it's relatively difficult to learn how to do without also making a bunch of mistakes along the way. So, and I think if you want to buy latex, like, there are definitely pieces that are less expensive. Look on FetLife for secondhand gear. You know, you can get things like latex gloves for relatively cheap. So I would say save up for a cheap piece. You know, maybe find something on Etsy, wait till something's on sale at a store that you like, and you will probably save money compared to trying to learning how to make it for yourself, first of all. Little Bobby, so cute. You were watching me very closely. Hi. Look at the smile. Hello, darling girl. Yeah. Good baby. If you want to learn latex crafts, though, probably start by watching tutorials. But as with all crafts, your first few tries will probably be imperfect at best, which is okay. But manage your expectations. Yeah, if you want to get into doing it, don't do it as a money-saving thing. Do it because it's a hobby that seems like fun. Because it's not gonna be a money-saving thing. But yeah, definitely look for secondhand on FetLife. There's definitely people who post secondhand stuff. I actually have a bunch of latex stuff that I've been meaning to post and sell. Because your girl got swole, and so things don't always fit my back anymore. So if you are a women's size 0 or extra small, which I still mostly am, it's just like sizing is weird. Like I still wear like an extra small and a 0 and like basically everything. Except for now I have to worry about hulking out of the back of latex stuff, which is pretty funny. Proportions are weird. Anyways, I've been meaning to sell a bunch of latex stuff for a while. I don't think I have any gloves or anything that are like a unisex option or like a one-size-fits-all thing. But you know, sometime soon it'll be posted. I just gotta get around to taking pictures and listing all of it, which is annoying and time-consuming. You talk about getting swole sometime. Like how I got swole, why I got swole, like what's the what information do you want about that process exactly? Did you rip out of your latex clothes like the Hulk? No, I did not. I did not yet, but it was like, oh, this fits differently now. was the thing. Yeah, it's just everything fits different. So is that water? You mean this? Yes? What do you think? I'm drinking straight vodka with no ice on this stream? What do you take me for? Jesus. I just got a small glass because all of my big glasses are in the dishwasher right now. I guess I know this is technically like the kind of glass you put like kind of like a whiskey sour in, but it's just water. Oh, that's funny. Okay, probably time for like 1 or 2 more questions. Yeah, become a fitness influencer and sell a diet and exercise program to becoming swole. Exactly, yeah. Too many fitness influencers online. The thing is like I don't think I could tolerate looking at my body that much on camera. I think I'd probably just like implode. I don't think I could do it. It would be too much for me. I don't have to wear like matching. Like, listen, I go to the gym. I wear a big t-shirt. I wear leggings. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm not trying to look sexy at the gym. Like, I just don't. Unless it's the summer. Definitely no gin. Definitely no gin. All right. Where is the line? I feel like this must be AI because I keep getting questions that start with the phrase. And in how many years have I been live streaming for? Like 6 years, 7 years. In the 6 or 7 years I've been live streaming, I don't think I've ever seen so many people ask me questions that start with the phrase, where is the line, blah, blah, blah. So where is the line between taking charge and just being a jerk because you have a captive audience? Consent. Like 90% of these AI generated fucking questions can be answered with like, you get consent, you negotiate first, you set clear boundaries, you treat your partner as an equal human being to you. That's it, that's the end. Yeah, I think it is actually a lowball glass. I think, does it have a chip in it? Aw, man. Oh, when that happened? Anyways. Alright, time for one more question. Who will it be? I believe I've gotten through the questions in the question box. I'm double checking. Yes, I think I have, unless someone has somehow gotten muted and I didn't notice. But I'm going to try to find one more question to answer, and then that'll be it for today. Who will it be? Who will be the final question of the live stream? Oh my god. I forget that when I go over to the questions tab, it like really cuts my live messages short. Oh no, so I can barely scroll back. Oh no. The most I've thought about stereotypes in kink is worrying whether I'm unknowingly, unnecessarily replicating them, i.e., why is it always the secretary being exploited by the boss, or if reversed, is this a fantasy about the powerful being seduced and thus not responsible for their actions? Yeah, I think that's a pretty decent explanation. Oh no! Well, okay, I guess this is gonna be the last question. Is there any overlap between your fitness and kink? For example, sometimes I have my partner order me to work out. LOL, it works. So I wouldn't say that like my partners don't order me to like work out. Like it's not my, like they are attracted to me in part because I work out, but they don't order me to work out as a kink thing, generally speaking. I'm not gonna say it's never happened, but like I do have CNC dynamics. So like, have I been told to like make videos working out or send videos of me doing like pull-ups or something? Like, yeah, I have. That has been a thing. But it's like that's not really a kink for me, if that makes sense. Like, it's a kink that my partners have that like I'm willing to engage in because they enjoy it and they like it. But I'm not like, what I get out of that is service to them, not like either. Like, it's just like it's like the same thing in my brain as being ordered to do something around the house or like helping them with a project or something. But it just happens to be related to a kink that they personally have. But yeah. It was more that like I like started doing fitness stuff and then that attracted them to me because I was doing fitness stuff, and then they just sort of got perpetuated like in the relationship, if that makes sense. As Aristotle said, virtue is the golden mean between the two vices. So taking charge is when one is not a jerk but not being passive. You know, I'm not in the habit of agreeing with old philosophers, but I think on that front and that interpretation, he might have had a good idea. My trick to becoming swole was testosterone prescribed and much lifting my disabled partner between a wheelchair and bed, or now a dentist chair. I mean, that it's like oddly wholesome, and I like that. That's cute. But also, I sometimes have jealousy for people who are testosterone dominant, because my God, would working out be so much easier if I had a little bit more testosterone in my body. That's adorable. Okay, all right. I think that is going to be it for today, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me on this Friday night live stream. We will be back next week. I'm not going to be streaming on Monday on Twitch because I am not going to be back in time to do that. So the next time I see you all on a stream will be next Friday here on YouTube. Stay safe, everyone. Have fun. Hope you have a good weekend. Take care of yourselves. Drink some water. And I will see you all very soon. Bye.